Good morning, everyone, and welcome inside the Spotlight Omaha, a podcast where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on the community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing is a locally owned marketing firm who specializes in website design, creating social media ads, and engaging your business online. If your business can benefit from any of that, check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more details today. Joining me inside the Pyramid Contractor studio is Joe Suchanic with Ellie Mental Health. Joe, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Before we get started, can you just kind of give our viewers an idea of what Ellie Mental Health is and how you guys are helping people?
Yeah, absolutely. Ellie Mental Health is a mental health clinic providing a lot of different services, substance use services, family therapy, couples, marriage. And so Ellie Mental Health first started in Minnesota. And so it started in about 2015 by Aaron Pash and Kyle Keller. And so their main objective was to really give all communities access to mental health, and to do so really create an environment that was both great for therapists and also great for clients, and really just destigmatizing mental health and letting everybody know a mental health struggle is really 100% real, and it's 100% across the board for everyone to experience at one point.
Why was it the right time to bring in an Ellie clinic to Omaha and the surrounding areas?
Yeah, so the right time is, especially during COVID years and all of those things, we really saw a drop in therapists. Therapists were starting to wear out. Therapists were starting to become overburdened. The people in the community started having extreme struggles and all of these things with mental health, with families, isolation, depression. And one of the things that is core for us at Ellie Mental Health is really, we have 6 core principles. And those core things are creativity, authenticity,
Sure.
Humor, compassion, acceptance, and determination. And so really wanting to move that into the community and be a part of the community so that we have access to services.
You brought up the relationship portion of it with husbands and wife, and I think when most people think mental health, they think individuality. How much of the clientele, based on what you guys have already seen in this short amount of time, is couples kind of going through it and trying to help each other?
Yeah, absolutely. Couples, it's when you think about an individual's mental health, they're not an island to themselves.
Sure.
Right? So they are, whether that's coworkers, whether that's immediate family, husbands, wives, couples, they all, one affects the other.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the approach that we take is we're not an island to ourselves. So let's not live our lives like we are, and let's not do therapy like we're an island to ourselves.
What is I mean, obviously you guys are still very new to the process here in La Vista, but what is the response been from the community already, and how has the booking process kind of worked up until this point?
Yeah, so it's actually going really well. The community has been extremely welcoming. We met with the mayor of La Vista about 3 weeks ago, and the Chamber of Commerce in Sarpy County. And they're very, very excited with us being a part of the community. The booking has been a little bit slower, just being new and things like that in the La Vista community. But we're looking to kind of just make sure that we really get out there, let people know that the help is here, the assistance is here, and go from there.
Branding is almost everything nowadays, especially when we're talking about growing a business, and you're wearing a shirt right now that says, "Hold on, let me overthink this." And when we're talking about helping people with their mental health, a lot of time it's just explaining the process and how to process things. How often are you guys seeing people that are just massive overthinkers, and it's as simple as maybe fixing that?
Yeah, no, that is probably, I see that a lot, and that's one of the things. Branding is everything, right? It's getting you out there, and one of the things for Ellie is we're very in your face kind of branding, right? We're very authentic with it. So hold on, let me overthink this is really about like just having that humor of it and
Yeah,
going saying,
absolutely.
you know what, I really do overthink a lot of things. And so we get those things out there and we talk about them and we use humor just to help kind of give people a different light. We all have that humor in us.
Yeah, I may have set you up with this next answer to that previous question, but when we're talking about consistencies and patterns, what are some of the common things that people are struggling with? Listen, we're coming off one of the most unique times in human history with the pandemic, and coming out of that and what that's looked like, the way it's changed
Yeah.
society and culture and things like that. American culture right now is maybe as chaotic as it ever has been. What are some of the consistencies you're seeing with people dealing with mental health struggles right now?
I think the consistency has really been is during the COVID times, we were really dealing with isolation.
Yeah.
A lot of people just feeling like they just are alone with their own struggles. Right now, what we're seeing is in the trend is really about people are so kind of pitted against each other.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it even in relationships, right? Where one is maybe, in the political realm and the other one is on one side,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
And
There's a red and a blue dot in their front
yeah,
yard.
right. Yeah. And so they're fighting against each other. They're trying to tell their own pieces of it. And so I just, what we're seeing right now is people are just feeling overwhelmed with the amount of things that our society has got to go through right now.
Yeah.
And they're just feeling overwhelmed.
It feels like there's something new every day.
yeah, there's something new every day. There's a new battle every day.
There seems to be, and maybe it's just my circle, but there seems to be this push of, and maybe it's just people my age, of people trying to get sober and sobriety. And obviously that's a giant mental health hill for some people, especially if they are labeling themselves an alcoholic or drinker. Are you guys seeing kind of a trend with that where substance abuse, whether it be alcohol or other, is kind of trending downward?
I wouldn't say it's kind of trending down. I think it's now starting to become more, everybody's becoming more aware of it.
Sure.
Right. And so now they're kind of wanting the help. They're wanting to do those things. And because of that, it's starting to trend down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think it's really just like with mental health. It's just in general, it's when you're getting that authenticity of, hey, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I need help. I need some assistance to walk through this. I want to be better.
I don't want this to come off as like a negative because like we're obviously not here to bash anybody, but like for a long time, and I just want to stick on that thought process for a minute. Like for a long time, AA works. Obviously, there's hundreds of thousands of people who've gotten sober from AA, but it's been anonymously done, right? Mm-hmm. And it kind of feels like we've gotten to the point where getting sober is quote unquote being cool, right? Like it's becoming a trend. Have you guys seen in your realm of the way you guys are doing things? Because for a long time, mental health was done anonymously, right? And it was like you can't talk about it because every people shame you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But therapy is such a commonly used word now; it's kind of changed. Do you see that the approach of being open about it and asking for help is actually helping people further along the way than kind of that seclusion was maybe in our parents' generation?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where the compassion comes in, right?
Sure.
It's just really trying to draw them out of it and just being authentic and creative with wanting to really help those things kind of come out. One of the things that I've seen is that there was this trend, right? Is like everybody now is trying to focus on like, I'm trying to get my life together and all these things. And I think it's had good and bad with it. Good is
because you got to be doing it for the right reasons,
right? You got to be doing it for the right reasons. You have to, and so you can't do that without supportive family, and some people can't do that without the support of therapy.
Takes a village, man, for sure. We're catching up with Joe Suchanic here of Ellie Mental Health on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio. I want to talk about the clinic itself for a second. What is the youngest patient you guys are helping, and how? I mean, what does your average age range reach to?
Yeah, so we have a couple of different therapists. We'll have, once we're fully staffed, we'll have about 14 therapists in the community.
Is that a high
Vista.
number?
That is a high number.
Okay.
For you really see these big agencies, right, where
Sure.
they have all of these kind of therapists available and medication management and everything, and you'll have like private practice,
Sure.
right, where it's like one therapist, and so we kind of meet that middle
Happy
ground.
medium, sure.
Yeah, and so being 14 therapists is a lot.
Why
but
is
we'll
it
have
such a
lot.
big deal to have a lot?
Well, it's really about having accessibility.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So the more therapists that you can have, the more that you can see. Right. And so it's not about the dollar. It's
Sure.
really about the help that's there. And so our range, we have a program called Parent-Child Interaction Therapy. And that is from ages right around 3 to about 7,
Oh, wow.
dealing with parents and children kind of interacting together and helping that through, all the way up to we got about some older adults that are get kind of fall into that Medicare kind of.
Sure.
Um,
We it's I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. So when we talk about having a wide range, a large number of people for availability, but it's representation is a word that's being used a lot, and for all the right reasons, right? How important is it to have maybe somebody that looks like the person that's coming in to talk to them, so they do feel a little bit more open, or maybe they can relate a little bit better? Is that something you guys are focusing on as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Our clinics are very out of the box, right? There's not you don't feel like you're coming into a medical clinic, right, for therapy.
And everybody's trauma is different too.
Everybody's trauma is different. And so having a wider range of therapists who can really relate to the clients that they're seeing,
Sure.
but we also want them to be determined so that they are challenging themselves and challenging their clients to not stay where they are. We're accepting, but you don't want to stay where you are either. So let's push a little
How
bit.
do we climb out of this together?
Yeah.
Absolutely. What has the response been like from the La Vista community? You talked about the mayor and all that, but it's, I think, one of those. Omaha is such a divided city into its boroughs, not necessarily divided, but like the boroughs of it are so separated. Why was La Vista the right area for the clinic to go to?
For La Vista community is very unique.
It's very tight-knit, yeah.
It is. It is very tight knit. Is very family oriented. The veterans that are in there, that was one of our pieces
good
that
point.
we really like, and we kind of offer those systems so that they can come in and get that as well. But La Vista is very tight knit, and so having that, it's like La Vista community wants growth and they love growth, and that's what they yearn for, but they don't want it to be like a big Omaha metropolitan, right? And so having 14 therapists fits that narrative for them of like it's enough, but it's not too much either.
Sure. Yeah. When we talk about the military trauma and some of the things, obviously PTSD is probably an overused term at this point, even in
Yes,
society.
it
But
is.
how many of the of the 14 therapists you guys are planning on hiring, are any of them former military or to some degree a veteran?
We are trying to look for one right
Okay.
now. I would love to have one that is a veteran that has the license for therapists. But I've worked with veterans for a while now. I'm like I said, I'm originally from Montana.
Sure.
So I moved into
Huge military population.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so one of our things is like I've worked with the veterans there a lot, especially with families. One of the things that we've seen is multiple deployments
Sure.
also really hinder relationships when they come back, right?
Yeah.
It's like when I've had, I've been deployed multiple times, and now all of a sudden I've got a 3-year-old and a wife that I didn't have
Yeah,
before.
life didn't stop. Yeah,
Right.
for
And
sure.
so it's like, how do I now transition back into this when my expectations may be a little bit different than what's already there?
We've kind of touched on this a little bit, but Ellie Mental Health is a network of clinics. It's not just unique to Omaha. It's, in lack of a better term, kind of a franchise where there are multiple slots. How much does that help the business grow and get off the ground as you guys are just now opening your doors?
Yeah, no, I think it's helped tremendously. It's helped with that corporate support to really take that into the communities and be like for us in La Vista, it has been extremely well because we've been able to keep that La Vista flair
Yeah.
in it and be able to say, hey, this is our community. This is the one that we're based in.
Sure.
And still have that corporate branding, corporate support with, credentialing with insurance companies and all those things.
We had the folks from Lutheran Family Services in here a couple of months ago, and they were talking about a service that they offer, which kind of helps dads that are trying to get into back into their children's lives, kind of usher them, help walk them through that process. And you brought up the veteran standpoint of it, where hey, listen, I've been in Iraq, I've been overseas, I've been stationed somewhere, and I'm coming home to a family for the first time. Men are less likely to go to the doctor. Men are less likely to ask for help. Are you guys starting to see, and again, this is still a very new franchise, but are you guys starting to see an uptick in the amount of men that are asking for help?
Yeah, absolutely. Even just in the field in general, what we've seen is there's been an uptick because before there was this tendency to let's go to the VA or let's go to here and
Sure.
and they're finding some barriers there and other times they're not and they're kind of sailing through things. But what we're seeing is this really yearning of like I've got to do something.
Yeah.
And so they're looking at it and going, can I restore my family if things have gotten so bad where I have, there's substance use involved. But I've also seen the therapeutic community kind of go towards that and say, you know what, it's not about let's make a CPS report and all of a sudden, we got more trauma going on, right?
Yeah.
It's now going, okay, how do we come next to
a
the
thin
veteran?
line, though. Yeah, that's such
It
a
is
thin line.
because you have those kind of strains of like, you're a mandated reporter, so you have to report, but it's one of those things when I train therapists, I'm like, especially working with veterans,
don't hit the panic button too.
Don't hit the panic button.
Yeah.
Right. Is because if you do, you'll lose them.
Maybe that answers this next question too. What do you think is the biggest hurdle facing the mental health industry right now?
I think it's managed care. I think is the biggest hurdle.
In what way?
In the insurance companies, things
okay.
like reimbursement rates and things like that, is because there is this trend right now that a lot of therapists are moving away from accepting insurances. Period.
Just because of that?
Just because of that.
Okay. Man, that's so crazy because we've had so many insurance agents in here, and that's something that keeps being brought up, but it's been more because of the weather, right? Like we're talking about houses being damaged and things like that. But the health insurance side of it is really interesting because with more people more than ever asking for help now, that means there's more bills being paid more than ever too.
Right. Yeah. And so there's a lot of those things, and that's really, I think, the biggest barrier for therapists and the mental health community is really just it's if we can get together and work and get in the same room and understand of like we're not trying to vilify you, we're not trying to make you the big bad insurance guy,
right?
We're just trying to say
we need our people to get help.
There's people to get they need to get help.
We've kind of talked about, we try to avoid politics like the plague on this show, but it is an election year. And I think a lot of people are stressed about it. Does that seem to be a common topic among people coming in?
Yes. And that's
does that feel weird? That feels weird.
It does.
Okay.
It does.
Just making sure I wasn't abnormal there.
It does. It feels a little weird because the divisiveness even between households is so much, right? And even in communities, right? Like I'm all for do whatever you do, right?
Sure.
It's support whoever you want to support. That's you,
right?
But
that's what makes this country great.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what makes us who we are.
Yeah.
But I think for some reason there has been this really heightened sense of kind of bunker down and just
two really big personalities going for the most
absolutely.
important seat in the world probably does that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like it's probably hard for a lot of people to step back and take a look at the beauty behind it because there's so much hatred in it. And I think that's the the small, loud minority of people that are raw red and raw blue and hate the other side. But like, I really hope at the tail end of November, everybody can kind of look back and go, this is what makes America special in some way. And I hope that's conversations that are being had by people that are looking for some help for it as well. And if you're looking if you're looking to meet with somebody to talk about your mental health issues, you can get a hold of Ellie Mental Health at 402-645-0038. And the La Vista branch's website is scrolling across the bottom of our screen right now as well. We're in here talking to Joe Suchanic of Ellie Mental Health on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside of the Pyramid Contractor Studio. I want to talk about Ellie Mental Health's growth and what that looks like down the road. As far as the Omaha location is concerned, how many branches would you guys like to see open over the next 5 to 10 years, or are you guys perfectly fine being in the one that you're at?
Yeah, I think our plan is there's another owner who owns one in West Maple.
Yep.
And then we are in La Vista. Our plan is to, in the next 18 months, providing everything kind of falls into place, around those areas as well.
Sorry, we just lost internet connection, so hopefully we didn't miss two. Give us that one more time, you guys. We lost at the Maple location. One more time.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's one in West Maple, and that's a location. We have one in La Vista, and for us, that are the ones for La Vista. We are planning on doing one maybe in the next 18 months, maybe 2 years, opening one up into the Fremont area.
Perfect, man. Listen, if anybody is looking for help, again, the number is 402-645-0038, and there's always somebody available if it's a serious situation at 988 as well. If we're kind of reaching the part about the day where we tend to shut her down, is there anything about Ellie Mental Health that we haven't mentioned that people should know?
No, I think our biggest thing is just we want to challenge how we have always done therapy. And the way to do that is to make people feel like this is just part of life, and we're going to walk together with you.
Well, hey, Joe, I appreciate you coming in and doing this, and thank you for all you're doing in the Omaha area as well. Again, check out Ellie Mental Health at their website, and again, you can reach Joe and the team at 402-645-0038. We want to thank everybody who joined us today. Like the video along the way as well. Sorry for not being here yesterday. We had a conflict in the schedule, but we will be back tomorrow. Talking to a new business owner in a new health facility here in the Omaha area as well. We'll continue the health train as we roll on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing in the Pyramid Contractor Studio. We'll see you tomorrow at 11. Thanks for joining us.